do you listen or read any Scott Galloway stuff? One of the things he says a lot is, he's like, the damage that's done to your liver in your early 20s is far less than the damage that's being done socially to you for not going out and drinking. That's also an interesting take because, again, it's like just going back to that human connection.
I have a second cousin. He graduated a year and a half ago, I think, and he basically said, like, what's the number one word of advice that you would have for somebody that's exiting college right now to go get a job in the market and benefit society, essentially? I gave him two. The first one was have grit, but my second one is get really fucking good at it. Welcome to another episode of the Who Cares podcast for business leaders, entrepreneurs who do care. I'm Jeff Jackel.
And I'm Jay O'Brien.
We haven't had guests yet, and I know that everybody keeps saying that we need to have some guests and bring some business leaders in here who either are doing it right or doing it wrong, and commend the people who are doing it right and just fuck up the people who are doing it wrong.
That sounds great. Maybe someone could book that and do that all for us. That sounds wonderful.
For sure. If you do that, if you are a podcast guest booking agency
or a podcast guest yourself, you fancy yourself as a podcast guest.
Yeah, just let us know.
Well, my daughter's 1 month birthday was yesterday.
That's right. I didn't say anything. God, the 1 month.
It came in, nothing on my desk.
Yeah, it's weird. 1 month. Do you, just so that we're clear from here on out, do you expect the next 11? I mean, the 12th, the 1 year for sure. But do you want me to? Is this like a relationship we had in high school?
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping for it every week.
She's 17 weeks today and just nothing.
Just nothing.
Cool.
No cocktails, nothing.
I like the color of your shirt.
Thanks. You probably bought it for me at some point.
Sure, but I like it. I like it. It's like a blue.
For those of you who don't know, Jeff does 50% of my shopping.
Wow, that's low. Really? That almost hurts. Who's doing? You're not doing the other 50.
Yeah, I guess 50% shopping, 50% retention. What I already have. Today's topic, while it's probably a bit tired and discussed on so many different podcasts, AI. I've been thinking a lot about this in a way that no one else is really talking about. I mean, so
I bet they are. But you're
well, I
just
don't know. Maybe they. Yeah, that's probably true. It's like when I got a great business idea, no one's ever thought of this, and you Google it, you're like, oh, there it is.
Look at this. 400 companies.
But the topic of AI that is typically discussed is like what jobs it's going to take over, how it's creating all these efficiencies. Obviously, one day it will rule the world, all kinds of things like that. But what I'm curious about is, A, how you think about it for your kids as a father, and I'll tell you where I'm going with that. And B, from an employee's perspective, how does an employee remain relevant, continue to add value to our organization? How is their job not at risk if they're doing something AI can easily do? That's like one piece of this.
Just so we're clear, do you think no one's talking about that second topic? Because that's probably the hottest button.
That's actually not the one.
Oh.
What I'm actually curious about is how this ties in to the education system. Because like when we were growing up, remember like how the first things to go were like art classes out of curriculums, mm-hmm. or like home ec gone, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
driver's ed gone,
mm-hmm.
wood shop gone. Mm-hmm. All of these
Did you have wood shop? Did you have those things?
That was an elective in high school you could take.
Okay.
These were not required courses or anything like that.
I might have been like just a few years ahead, but I might have just
driver's ed was not a thing for us.
I don't think ours
but it was for my mom's generation.
Yeah.
But
like
home ec was not a thing.
We had home ec, wood shop, music, something else as like a rotating thing in
middle school?
7th or 8th
The
grade.
wheel.
It was a wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
you had that?
Wheel. So what's funny is they actually brought it back my year. So home ec wasn't a thing, and then it was a thing. But my point is,
I made a skateboard pillow. It was fucking awesome.
A lot of those programs leave. They're the first to go because everyone was always so focused on math and science. Like, what you really need to learn is math, science, engineering, all these things that are going to get you somewhere. And I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, I actually think this is going the other direction because all the math and science and all of that, that's so heavily dependent upon in the AI stuff, but AI is not yet building you the wood stuff. They're not yet coming to the rescue with home ec, for example, or like basic trades, basic skill sets, or even driving a car. Like, again, that might be irrelevant in the somewhat near future when it's all autonomous driving. But for now, it's like, no one's teaching you how to drive a car unless you go through outside of school program. So my question is, where do you think it's all going, Mr. Jackel? What do you think Crosby's going to be learning in school? She's, 6 years away from going to high school?
That's terrifying. She's probably not even 6 years away from going to high school. Okay. Wheel backwards. So many people are talking about this. Have you seen the Tim Ferriss with Chris Sacca?
Are talking about the first thing, not the second thing. Yeah, the Chris Sacca one where he lives in Bozeman, right? Yes, I think Chris Sacca.
I think so. Yeah. And your favorite guy, Tim Ferriss, your pee friend.
Sure.
Your urinal
Just
buddy?
leave no context there.
So they were honestly saying, what would you have your kids doing now? Like, would you send them to college to become a lawyer? No. Sokka's like, dude, I've gotten rid of all of the lawyers in my company besides one, because I do the first 2 rounds with ChatGPT and then I bring it to the person for like a stamp of approval. He's like, would you do it for coding? No, you can literally code everything, right? So computer engineering is out the window. So a lot of people are talking about that, like what would you have what would you be willing to send your kid to go to college for? I mean, they're even saying now, I think their kids are older. So like 15 or 12 years from now or whatever, not even 10 years from now for Crosby.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what a like highly skilled or specific trade would look like that will not be first and foremost performed by AI, depending on what happens with AI in this.
So where's the real value then? Like the prompts, the first, leveraging, like some sort of human interaction.
So the answer to the first question that you asked earlier that you were talking about is, so I have a third cousin. I don't know. My mom's cousin's sons. My family's very, very, very small, so we're really close to all these people. So call them a cousin. I'm very close to them. He graduated a year and a half ago, I think, from college and was deciding what to do. He ended up going to law school at GW. But they were visiting and he basically said, like, what's the number one word of advice that you would have for somebody that's exiting college right now to go get a job in the market and benefit society, essentially? I gave him 2. The first one was have grit, because you're part of a generation that, by and large, this isn't to say anything crazy negative about, but by and large, my experience is lacks grit, and is, if somebody asks you to do something and you never give them a peep back and you're like, yes, and you do that and something else, and you don't act, super special and all like that kind of stuff, you will stand out in the crowd for the most part. But my second one is get really fucking good at LLMs, at ChatGPT. And what that means is be the best at prompts. At least right now, it means be the best at prompts and be the best at leveraging the information that you go back and going deeper within questions you ask AI right now to basically be faster and more prolific with everything that you're doing. So like, I mean, it's probably a good analogy. In here, we had one employee who's since gone on to do other things, but she was like, that was not like the introduction for us to AI, but like it was honestly where I realized, holy shit, you can get so much done so quickly, because I kept getting things from her and I was like, how did she do this so good? This was 2.5 years ago or whatever it is. And so that's like the number one thing is to get really good at going deep and become a very, very good prompt writer, which there's tons of different things. I have like 2 or 3 things that shoot me emails every single day giving me suggested prompt things to how to get better at feeding it so that it gives you a good result.
Sure. So back to Crosby.
Well, that's the first question. That's the answer to the first question of like, what do I think somebody should do this right now?
Why don't you elaborate on that? Like, we're looking for a sea of candidates. What are they saying? I'm so good at prompting ChatGPT. How do you boast about that talent? Like, I'm great at leveraging AI. It's like, dude, you're not captivating me. How do you brag about that? How do you like showcase that talent?
A lot of times when we do certain things where we make somebody do a project or ask people to do a small project and have something come in, I mean, like I guess the best way I can think of is, I'd say you had 5 candidates that was like, okay, here's the project that we want you to do. We want you to come back with these different sources and your suggested ideas for X, Y, and Z. And you had 5 people that got them back to you, and the first one did it and sent it back to you 30 minutes later, and it was just as good as all the rest of them, if not more detailed.
Yeah, that's interesting. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, the person you're talking about, on her resume, couple of years ago when it got passed to us, said something like that, like kind of going through her history at other companies, and she's like, leveraged AI to do blah, blah, blah. And I remember reading that thinking like,
meh.
yeah, like, so what, you know? But to your point, once she got here and started, it was like, oh, well, this is better than what was said on the resume.
Yeah,
and I don't know how better to say it, you know?
But this is moving so quickly that this is even a tough thing to answer, because it's like that all happened for us with that employee at a time where we didn't understand it because it wasn't something we used every single day. And now if somebody wrote, you know what I mean? Now if somebody wrote that's a totally different thing. It's like, well, duh, you better be good at AI.
Yeah.
Or at least at an LLM side of AI. So the question about like what will my kids do is the question, what do I think that they'll do that would be able to provide value to basically be as defensible as possible against something being replaced by?
I mean, that's one piece of it. And the other part is just like, I don't know, a question you might not even have an answer to. Like it's, you know, Crosby's going to start high school in 6 years. I mean, what does our education system look like in 6 years? You know, if people aren't focused on developing and they're not focused on all the things we put so much stock into.
The honest answer is it's going to look exactly the same. The education system, like, it moves like a behemoth. I mean, like it moves is ridiculous. Like the whole thing, you've heard Godin talk about like how the whole education system was set up for factory workers, and then just like learn this shit, and here's like a regimented way to learn stuff that you're not going to use.
Even the idea of just going to a classroom and listening to someone lecture, and you're one of 30 people in the class. Like, I mean, it's just one of the most archaic ways to learn anything.
And it's changed since 1950 or whenever that, you know, he's talking about, but like not that much. You know, so do I
He's
think
talking about like the 1800s, you know, like it hasn't really changed much if you think about it since then. You go to a place, you sit at a desk, you listen to someone talk.
Yeah. But even the things that we're learning, which I do think that there's like, you know, obviously learning the history of the country, learning the history of the world, science, the basics, all that kind of stuff. Like you do need to, I think, learn those things to get a grasp or a grounding on understanding everything that you later learn in more detail. But it's like memorization and facts and numbers, the way that you had to do that because you didn't have a resource to get it in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Doesn't really make sense to me anymore. I mean, maybe there's something to be said. I don't want to speak on it because I guess I don't know, but like maybe there's something to be said for how that develops the brain. If you told me that, then I understand those things. So like, for example, you'll go through this with Saya, but like when our kids were going through, like TK or even that preschool prior to that, one of the places they went to multiples, but one of the places that they went was very like play-based and physical and kind of science and whatnot. But I remember having like a teacher conference, and they were talking about certain things that they were doing that was literally like glue and cutting, like scissors and whatever it is. And the guy was talking about like dexterity. Like it was literally like in my head, I never would have thought like, oh, you literally have to teach yourself to get your hands to move in a certain way. And then like teach yourself how to do like learning certain things will balance, or you put a larger thing underneath it and a bigger thing is up there because you learn that this has a larger surface area just innately. Like,
yeah.
But literally like the physical elements of doing those things.
Like if you never did it. Yeah.
So I didn't think that that's why. So benefit of the doubt, Jackel. If we have to learn memorization because it actually helps the brain develop at the age of 9, 10, 11. And so they need kids to continue having things to memorize. Might as well be the, you know, first 50 presidents I don't know if that's the reason. But if it is in fact to know those things as facts, that's stupid.
That's interesting. Never really thought of it that way. That makes sense. I mean, even like, you know, reading and writing and math and stuff, you could make the argument. I mean, even now, you know, obviously they haven't taught cursive in years in school, but it's like you don't need to write anything anymore for the most part. Most people aren't writing anything.
Yep.
I don't know if you've felt your spelling regress at all, but like I actually have in some way. It's like
because it corrects it for you.
Yeah. So like. I was always a really good student in English, like, you know, like writing papers and whatever, like spelling tests, spelling bees or whatever. It's like now there'll be certain things I'm doing and I'm just like, I know I am so lazy spelling like the first 4 letters of the word because I know it's just going to grab the rest of it.
Yeah.
That if you really put me to the test on some of these things, I'd have to put some thought into it, you know?
You're like, oh no, I know the first 4 letters.
Yeah, totally. That's all I'll need.
But the back half.
And typing, or even now voice to text, it's like, well, why are we spending all this time learning how to write? Well, to your point, maybe it's actually, there's multiple.
Yeah, so I think about that a lot with kids. I think like if it's more about learning how to learn, okay.
Yeah.
And learning how to get the brain to do certain things. I don't know what else you'd memorize if not, like dinosaurs and the shit that we did and like geography. And then, but that's another, I think about that all the time. It's like, okay, so you could always find every country on a map. You had a way to look it up. You had a map. I mean, I guess you didn't have a map on your phone because you didn't have a phone, but you had maps you could look up, but you had globes, whatever.
Globes, yeah.
But I still get that it was important to understand where the hell we are in the world in relation, like to know it, in relation to countries around us, either on our continent or elsewhere, So, but in terms of what is going to happen to your point, things that are more artistic, I guess I don't know. I think like how in the world could AI replace woodworking? How could it? I mean, I know that it
a 3D printer.
A 3D printer.
Yeah.
It can and it will. It's like, will our houses be made of plastic or be made of whatever material these printers can print in 20 years? Will AI make music? AI already is making music.
So not only is AI already making music, but if you went back to like, the 50s, 60s, 70s and listened to all those bands and then we're like, yeah, one day people will not listen to this anymore and they'll want to listen to what someone made on a computer with no real instruments. You'd be like,
Jamison.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, come on, like, don't be ridiculous. And you're like, no, that's 100% a thing. Like these DJs that sell out in Vegas and are making like hundreds of millions of dollars a year and stuff. It's like, dude, this is like theory at best being programmed into a computer, which now you can just feed AI and be
sure.
Yeah. Okay, write this in the key of A, make a typical formulaic pop song, A, B, C, B, and then like, that's it. It's done. And so even if you said, yeah, well, I'm like this incredible guitarist and like a computer can't do that, whatever, like that's fine, but there's actually not a market for that anymore. There's not a market to care about how good you are at guitar.
Yeah, I don't know if this just exacerbates the problem, but if those creative crafts become the thing that is even more competitive, like those things have always been hard to make it in the first place. I think if somebody trying to become an actor or a writer or a musician or whatever, it's like those are the things that historically parents were like, God, I hope my child doesn't want to do this because it's so hard, it's so impacted, there's so many people that want to, and there really, in the grand scheme of things, aren't that many. If the other jobs that are very technical started to be even harder to get, because they're all taken up by machines. I mean, how hard is it?
I mean, you can think of like, okay, being an actor in LA, it's like, okay, heavily saturated. People like see something as a kid and movie where like, I want to do that. And they go to LA. It's like, okay, well, there's only so many movies that can be made and it's whatever. But what's interesting with, and maybe even for like a rock band, it's like, you've seen one, you've seen them all. Like that, there's so many of them, right?
They can't all be Azalea.
But no, they can't. But what's interesting though, is you look at the best musicians in the world, jazz musicians, those are a very limited number. They technically are the best, and they have the smallest market that gives a shit about them.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting. It's like, well, no, I'm not only the best, but I'm one of very, very few. And it's like, I've beat the competition, so to speak.
Yeah.
But there's no audience.
And also no one really cares.
Yeah, there's no audience for it. That's what's so interesting about music. With sports, it's different. It's like, it's almost objective. You're not like, who's your favorite player? Well, this guy, even though he sucks, you're like, no, it's pretty much like these guys are objectively the best, therefore they're paid the most and they go to the best teams.
So yeah, I'm going to call Seth Godin back. I haven't really talked to him about him recently. Like it's fair to have 2 or 3 callbacks.
It's been at least 4 days. Yeah.
1,000 true fans, right? Like
That's not his book.
No, but he talks about you need 1,000 fans, you get 1,000 followers. Like once you have an audience that is loyal to you and whatnot. And that's like a jazz musician. Yes, they don't have the biggest audience, so maybe the resulting money and success or however you want to deem that can't grow as large as Taylor Swift. But like
they can't grow large pretty much at all. I mean, like,
but they have their true fans. They have probably a true.
They have their true fans, but their true fans are like in the lobby of a Marriott. Like listening for free.
It's got to be thousands of people.
Yeah, but I'm saying like you're not going to go meet some rich jazz musician like you will an actor, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's crazy to think about.
So you're saying Crosby shouldn't be a jazz musician? Is that where we're
I'm saying I don't know what the hell she should be. Like, you know, I guess what she's doing now is a pretty good path.
Tumbling?
The gymnastics, you know, like AI can't do that. And so long as the market doesn't shift and be like, oh, I'd rather see a robot tumbling than a human, that's one of those things where it's like, well, the best of the best rises, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I wonder whether, what's the law of like, I don't know if that's the right deal, but like where water will go to the lowest point or things will flow and everything kind of happens for a reason or whatever. But the change in the makeup of the employment or self-employment market in the last several years, and the fact that that's like slated to go even more extreme. Maybe the two things are happening at the same time. I don't know whether it's cause and effect.
You mean more people becoming self-employed?
Yeah. So there's predictions that there will be more entities, more business entities than there are humans of an, at least like let's say in the US, of an age, because people will have multiple entities and they'll either work for one and have another one of their own entities. But it's like the whole creator culture, like the number of people who have their own YouTube channel and podcast, et cetera, that are trying to be content creators or doing what it's like, it's sort of becoming more and more free to and possible to make a living doing something based on your interests. Like let's say that she had like Crosby and said, well, I'm going to make a content channel around tumbling for kids under the age of 14 or whatever the hell it is. She could go off and be wildly successful with that. If we didn't think people could ever have as true a connection with AI as they can with a human, meaning like, let's say we were two AI bots, because I think there's shit you probably don't even know about. Are you aware that there's like people who right now, Gary Vee's been talking about this, people who are in relationships with AI bots, real romantic relationships. He's predicting, cut to Jay's face. It's real. He even predicts that you will be able to formally marry an AI.
None of this actually surprises me. It continues to make me just so sad.
I know, but like he's saying that kids who are a kid 18 years from now, it's very realistic to say it could be like, well, my boyfriend or my girlfriend or my whatever is actually AI.
What is it?
I don't know. It's a bot. But
that's really too bad. I can't even go down that path because I'll just pay it zero attention.
Okay. So don't do that. But the point was going to be, if we thought that there could never be that much of a connection, I mean, there are, by the way, AI influencers. They're fake bots that are like that
makes sense to me.
Yeah. But if you said that, like, think about what Annie does. Like, if it was understood or it became real that you could tell the difference between that, because I think people are going to get more like stringent about that. They're going to start bucking. There will be a time where they buck against that and they say like, well, I don't want that fake thing. I really want the real person. I know her whole story. I know her kids and I know all that kind of stuff. So then I would say I would try to push my kids towards jobs or careers that can be supported by or aided by AI tools, but where something that they do, whether it's a connection with people, because it's never going to be knowledge. It's never going to be some sort of proprietary knowledge that separates them or whatever. No. It has to be a human connection in whatever field it is, supported by AI. But that's where
I think that's correct. I think the human connection thing is going to be huge because like right now it's still ramping. And I think that in a very short amount of time, it's going to be like 9,000 RPMs and like people will very quickly sniff out, oh, that's AI, because right now it's still a little new to some people, even though it's not really new. But like even content creation, like how we talked about this earlier this week, it's like, oh, you could, 2-3 years ago, we have a copywriter on staff, right?
Yeah.
He's writing articles. He's posting a blog post once a week or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, step 2 to that is, well, now we'll just have ChatGPT do one a day and have someone just kind of feed it prompts, make sure it's in our voice and done. Well, now it's like the next step is have an AI agent built that's talking in our voice and doing 6 per day. It's like, okay, well, each company that's leveling up, and it's like, okay, well, we'll do more. We'll SEO, we'll rank, we'll do this, we'll do that. It's like, well, eventually everyone's just going to crank their shit up so high that it's like everyone's doing 100 articles a day and this and that. It's like, then what? Does the system break? Is it like, Well, now what's going to stand out is the person like a Seth Godin who it's one post per day and it's actually him and it actually reverts the whole thing. I don't know.
I think so. You talked about this in some episode about like the push to going back to analog and why. I
do think that that's going to be a huge push. It kind of already is.
It is.
I mean, like people are using disposable cameras again. People are even listening to audio cassettes again.
$64 to have those developed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, that's probably because no one's doing it. So they're like, yeah, we're the place that does those.
I'll tell you one thing that is just on my bucket list, and that's to have a landline phone and to use it exclusively.
I said this, have we talked about, I said this to Ash last week.
Maybe a lazy boy too.
I said that to Ash last week. I'm like, I'd really like a landline phone. I was waiting for somebody I was calling. So like, I'd like this to be connected to the wall. And I don't even want like a wire, like a portable one.
Totally.
I want the actual.
The cord, yeah.
Yeah.
I do think there is something
you
there.
You need that in Big Bear. Like, what if
I actually do have a landline phone up there, just not hooked up?
You absolutely need like a real.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, with the
coilies.
No, but where you remember?
Oh, the rotary phone.
Yeah,
I do have a rotary phone up there.
Yeah, you need that.
But yeah, I do think you're right. I think that it's gonna revert back to where people actually want the human interaction. I don't know. Do you listen or read any Scott Galloway stuff?
Yeah,
you do. Yeah.
Prof
What am I talking about? Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you've heard him say this.
By the way, when I first showed you that, you're like, I don't need another guy. And I sent you one thing where it was like his thing about like, because you will talk about it a lot, like it's okay to be masculine or whatever. And you're like, dude, where has this guy been all my life?
By the way, he played that so well.
I know. Oh, the thing on The View?
Yeah, he definitely had a little spin on there for the people at The View. But no, one of the things he says a lot is how the newer generation is kind of no alcohol, you know?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, this is one of the worst things that happen to human nature.
That the people are going to stop drinking?
Yeah, that people are not drinking. And
I haven't heard him say that.
Yeah, I've heard it on a few different podcasts of his, and his reasoning for it is a couple things. One, he's like, when you work remotely, you're working out of your apartment, your house, whatever, you're not meeting any coworkers. You know, like there's no dating scene, there's no nothing. You're just working there.
Oh.
You're at home workout or whatever, same thing. Yep. You know, you're gaming, your relationship with your AI person, whatever. Like, there's no reason to go out anymore.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And if you don't drink alcohol, there's really no reason to go out, you know, for these people. And so he's saying, that's a huge disadvantage because you should be mingling with people. He quoted some study that said like over 60% of Gen Z people have never asked someone out in person before.
Yeah.
Crazy. So that's the first thing is like the social interaction that goes way down. And then after that, he's like, also alcohol lowers your inhibitions. Like everyone should have that. You know, he's like the damage that's done to your liver in your early 20s is far less than the damage that's being done socially to you for not going out and drinking.
How do you?
You know, and so it's like that's also an interesting take because again, it's like just going back to that human connection.
Yeah, I mean, drinking there is a reason to go out, but the fact that like people are more reclusive these days and just doing
he's not saying, hey, this is a big miss, you should be drinking at home. Like you know, he's saying you should be drinking, implying you should be going out
and drinking, which I mean when we talked about the college thing, that in my head is like the main reason, especially now. I think it'll just get exacerbated to go to college, like to have that, like if you, let's say you weren't going to do it when you were later, like you're going to go to college and be social. And I mean, maybe not. Shit, I don't know what a campus looks like these days. Maybe people are like at college and they're just in their fucking dorm rooms playing video games.
They could be, but also like I didn't go away to college, and it like that whole thing is still pretty foreign to me because it's like such an expensive thing to do.
Yeah,
it's like, well, not only is it expensive to do, but like you're probably not earning money while you're doing it either. So it's like, you know, when people are like, "Oh, I'm a student," I'm like,
but
and what else? Like,
yes,
working a job too.
My college experience, or my like that, let's say 10-year block, let's say call it like your 18 to 28 or 18 to 12-year block. Maybe it's kind of unique. I probably like was out and had more social interactions in like a 2-year span from like 18 to 20 than I probably did in the following 10 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but that's probably not normal for everybody because I like did that hard and then I worked my ass off and did entrepreneurial shit and whatever. But like a lot of people, I guess we're regressing from the AI thing. But so yeah, I think social interaction or personal interaction of whatever that would be, like something where you could, I thought about this the other day, like someone being a server or like roles like that of like hospitality roles. And I don't know how that will change. Not necessarily from AI. I guess it's just from technology. Like we go to a few places where a robot serves us.
Yeah. And that's kind of novel, and it's mildly convenient. Not really, right? Not yet, at least.
But like, will those jobs stick around? Will we always have servers?
I think what will happen is we're going to reach the point of like maximum efficiency where it's almost like boredom and or just too much stimulation. Like the same way, right? We talk about the landline phone, like texting. It's like you text someone and they don't text back in, I don't know, an hour or something. And you're like, what's going on? It's like, never would you have expected a response from someone 20 years ago. You know, like you're like, I'm calling you, I'm leaving a message.
Yeah.
Or even before that, you're corresponding through mail. You know what I mean? It's
the demand on our time has gotten already unreasonable.
Because it's possible.
Yeah.
And because it's possible, it's become an expectation.
But yeah, there's been a bunch of studies too that whether that actually at the end of the day increases or decreases productivity.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that's a whole other thing. But like when it comes to the robots serving you food, it's like, we'll probably get to a point where you sit down at a restaurant. It's like your food is there like this. You can pay like this. You can do all this stuff. And then maybe your whole dining experience is 7 minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
so what's weird is that like your whole personality personally.
Yeah, I don't jive with that.
Well, you do. So
in a restaurant setting.
Right.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So that's what I don't know. It kind of lends itself to what you were saying earlier, where like with the jazz musician, this is maybe an analogy where it's like, my guess would be that a perfect world, like for you and probably for a lot of people, 80% of your experiences that you have eating out or getting food or going to a movie or whatever those things are, you would want them to be as efficient as that. I've already ordered the food. I walk into this place, it's sitting on my thing, or if it's ready to go. Like you're not.
I want that at the DMV for sure.
Sure. But I think about the lunch that we had today. If it was just already ready and when we walked in, they're like, oh, it's sitting on table 7. Thanks. Like that would be amazing.
Yep.
But the 20% where it's like a meal with friends where you really want to like.
Yeah, when I say, hey, you guys want to go to dinner this Saturday? I'm not saying, should we eat together real quick?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you're saying, I want to spend quality time with you guys. So in that case, you'd want a human server. You'd want someone like that throwback feel, you know?
My worry, I've never even thought about this. This is kind of cool because we'll talk about shit and I'll be like, wow, I've never even thought about that. But my worry with that would be that it's like a further division of classes where like I think it would get to the point where the only environment, because ultimately those things are cost-cutting measures, right? Like you would figure out ways for robots and technology to get the food on the table, and I don't have to have a human. Like my in-laws were telling me something about the other day. That's a grocery store, Aldi. Have you ever been to an Aldi? Okay, Apparently it's like related to Trader Joe's in some way, or one of the owners is part of Trader Joe's. But it's like I think it's like a discount grocer. And they've got all these different things. Like they don't take things out of boxes. Like if there's a milk or a whatever, let's say it's macaroni and cheese, it's in the box that like it came in off the ship, but like they cut the top and you have to like get it out of each thing. It's not like presented. No one's fronting the shelves. I think it's mostly self-check, or like there's one person that works the register, and they literally have tried to pare down all the personnel expenses entirely. So the worry would, and then they do a really cool thing, which I want to talk about, but the worry would be that division of classes, meaning like the only experiences of a social setting and restaurant or hospitality like that would be very, very high end, cost a lot of money, and only be kind of like reasonable for someone's, either for a certain, wealth, somebody of certain wealth, or it's like your anniversary or birthday or whatever. A couple times a year you do that. Otherwise, it's literally just no interaction. You're not even talking to a person. You just sit down and eat your food or grab your food.
It's almost kind of like tailoring your clothes. It's like back in the day, it's like everything gets tailored, right? Now you're like, well, you buy it off the rack and you wear it, and that's like 90+% of the population. Tailoring your stuff is actually super expensive to do.
Yeah.
That's
similar, except for the food thing is something we do every single day. So I think
the food thing is interesting because, if you maximize efficiency and you're saying, hey, for 80% of the things in my life, I would actually appreciate that. It's good for me. It's good for them. Like I can get in and out in 5 minutes. Well, for them, they can turn way more customers, make way more revenue. So everyone's winning. Again, we're cranking the shit up and see where the wheels fall off.
Except for all the jobs. Where all the jobs go.
What do you mean except for all the jobs?
I mean, they're cutting down. Imagine a grocery store with one worker.
No, I'm saying that's cranking it up. I mean, you're just maximizing efficiency. You're freaking increasing your profitability.
For the corporation.
Sure.
But there's no one's doing.
I'm taking the employee concern out of the consumer's mindset.
Okay.
Assume the consumer
doesn't care.
Has money, right? Yeah. So I mean, that's going to be a different byproduct of the whole thing. But even with autonomous cars, I think that there will be, just like driving a vintage car, there will be some sort of romance in saying, hey, I know I can get in this thing, not sit in traffic, whatever, but I want to get behind the wheel of the car and drive it again. I know it doesn't make sense. I know that it's going to be slower. I know it's not going to be perfect. I know my risk of dying in a car accident's higher, like whatever, but I want to do it because of like how vintage it is. And honestly, I think we're going to see so much of that in the very near future because this dial is still getting cranked so hard.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of it like doesn't even apply to a huge percentage of society. But I mean, a lot of those things, I guess I don't even think about it because some of the things have become so commonplace, which is how this will happen, is it gets so cranked up that like you just sort of accept the reality. Because as you were saying that, I was thinking about like, I will not as often, because, you know, I love to walk into Target and walk into these places, but Ash, a lot of times will do just, well, you do delivery almost all the time, right? Makes your life easy, you know, and I'll sometimes do like the drive up, you know, and you go there and you wait and somebody brings it out. I hadn't even really thought about this until you were just talking about that. It's like most times that I go into a Target and I'm going around and I'm like actually walking through the aisles and I'm there for 15 minutes or whatever, it's like without fail, I will have some sort of interaction where I see like a mom with a cute little kid and like I'll kind of like smile at him, or I'll have just like a momentary interaction with another human. You know, it might be tiny. It might be just like making a little funny face at a little kid or whatever it is. And granted, I'm the kind of person that does that shit. Maybe most people don't.
You got to pry you out of that conversation.
Yeah. But every time you do some sort of efficiency, like a mobile order, a delivery, or, you know, the pickup, whatever, like
you're removing
a human interaction. For me, probably 10. If I'm in a Target for 20 minutes and it's in the middle of the day where there's like, and it is kids, like, or for some reason, because I'm always up.
The person who checks you out, you're probably talking to, I mean, or I guess you're doing self-checkout. I don't know.
Yeah. But last night I answered, I guess
even the nods in the parking lot, you know, like waving people through, and there's a
just
lot
like
of it,
all of those little tiny nuance, like and then we were talking the thing yesterday, you know, the increase of number of kids being on the spectrum, and like and social interactions and not picking up social cues, and how these little things. And I watched this thing on Instagram where I didn't even notice it, and like all the comment section, like this kid is obviously on the spectrum, his social cues, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like that's like this is a seemingly totally normal kid, totally great kid, whatever. People are like wondering why that would potentially be increased, if not a psychological thing or a chemical thing. Fucking people are out of practice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're having lesser and lesser of those. I was the kid in a grocery store who was talking to everybody. Aisle.
I mean, I guess it's true. When you were a kid, like we had to call our friends or ask a girl out on like you just had to do it. There was no like way around it, you know, you just have to do it and face the rejection or whatever.
Well, you talked about the thing, you had to talk your friends into doing stuff. You had to you had to walk down the street and knock on the door and ask somebody's mom, hey, can Jay come out to play?
Right.
And you don't know that lady.
Yeah.
Totally. And in the beginning, you know, like you had to be okay with that.
Or I don't know if you ever sold magazines door to door. Like, dude, I mean, you're just literally knocking on doors, asking people to buy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we have a hard time, like, when, you know, you deal with someone who's never sold anything, you're like, just start calling people and talk, and they're like, well, why call them? Can I just text
phone call? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty far away from the AI topic, but I think it's all like, that's like the extreme.
I guess but the overarching theme is like, no one knows what's going to happen, and we can all predict to some extent, like what's going to, but I'm more or less saying like one thing is for certain, and that is that human beings will still populate the earth. So what will happen with them? You know, like psychologically, I mean, we know like, okay, jobs will go away. We know that jobs will be created, you know, like we know a lot of things are going to happen as far as like commerce goes and all that stuff. But it's like, what will we thirst for, you know, as humans? What will be the voids that we really want back?
Yeah. I think aside from we'll want jobs back, I think it is the human interactions, but I think that's a long time coming. I don't think that's just AI. I think it's a lot of technology and just convenience and things being overly optimized because people are trying to like grab every moment out of every day, and we're too easily distracted and we're too easily reachable, which, I mean, I guess you could say it then makes you appreciate the downtime or appreciates the other time more.
It makes you want to create downtime, and it makes you want to create friction. It makes you want to create inefficiencies, which is why you said I need a landline at Big Bear. Like,
yes,
it makes you want to create. Like,
it's
the
romance.
Good old days.
It's literally just the romance of it. What it is. Which I think a gnarlier question is that the generation below us or after us will not even have those things as a reference point. So there is nothing to call back to that is like, you remember the time when you had to do this or you had to do that, or the things that we're saying you'd increase because it's romantic. That was never.
We were in Hawaii, and Ash and I wanted a picture, and there was like this mom and her like 22-year-old daughter walking by, and I was like, "Hey, would you mind taking a photo of us?" I handed her the disposable camera. We went back to look, and when I looked at her, I saw her look to her mom. She had no fucking clue what it was. She just looked at it. She's like, I don't know what they're talking. And she's like, the mom grabbed it to take the photo.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
That's great.
Oh, man. Well, I know that this is a bit of a tangent. Maybe no real value. Just a casual conversation.
I think I've had some people tell me that like some of the stuff, even if it's not, and maybe it's because they're not business owners and they're not all entrepreneurs, but like just making you think, like just think about these things. I don't really sit and think about, I do with AI. But like, I don't think about.
Well, next week, let's talk some politics. Let's talk religion.
Sure.
Let's talk medicine.
No,
the whole thing. Like, let's just get into all of it, just to get people talking.
Just talk about it.
Just get them thinking.
All right, guys, do all the things you're obligated to do, and by obligated, I mean that we ask you to do, and by we ask you to do, I mean that we just like do it off the cuff at the very end, and then nobody's watching at this point anyway. But do the likes, do the subscribes. I don't even know if my parents have liked.
Well, thanks, guys.
We'll see you next week.